Tonight marked the final installment of Impact Wrestling before our biggest event of the year, Bound for Glory, this Saturday night live in your hometown of Chicago on pay-per-view, Fight TV, YouTube, and DAZN internationally. The 19th annual installment of Bound for Glory. I cannot wait for it. It's going to be headlined by Mickie James versus Trinity for the Knockouts World Championship, a first-time ever matchup, a star-studded night. We're going to dive into what happened between James and Trinity a little bit later on here tonight on the Impact Post Show. But I want to start off with a place that I really don't like to touch on all that much, considering the way Crazy Steve has conducted himself as of late here in Impact Wrestling. Tonight, a vicious, no disqualification match between Black Taurus and Crazy Steve. Ultimately, it goes the way of Crazy Steve. What is it going to take to stop Crazy Steve?
I almost don't want to know. I mean, he seems to be on this mission to cut away everybody, everything that's been close to him, that's defined him for the past decade or more of his life and his career. Black Taurus, who stood by him, is in decay. I mean, his former decay members of Rosemary and Havoc have disappeared off the planet to him. He was left alone there. We've even heard Tommy Dreamer talk about how close he was with Crazy Steve at one point, helping him early on in the business. Crazy Steve is basically taking a hatchet in the form of a fork and cutting all of that away.
I thought when I had a chance to hear from Crazy Steve when he opened up, when I got to speak to Steven Scott, that we might see something completely different, and we did. It was never in the way that I ever anticipated. And now my fear is for Tommy Dreamer, the reigning digital media champion. Crazy Steve has a digital media title shot in his future thanks to Feast or Fire. These violent scenarios are all part of Crazy Steve's past and present. And speaking of violent scenarios, that's what we're in for at Bound for Glory with Monsters Ball, one of the signature matches of Impact Wrestling. It'll be Moose, PCO, Rhino, and Steve Macklin in the Vicious Monsters Ball this Saturday night in Chicago. And tonight we got a little taste of that with a tag team matchup, and it just got out of hand very quickly. And here's the most interesting part of it. Bully Ray did something for someone other than Bully Ray.
I don't get it. I mean, so Steve Macklin's walking around saying, first he's trying to get that Feast or Fire briefcase from Moose, right? Thinking he deserved it because it got gored out of his hands back at the 1,000th episode celebration for Impact Wrestling. But he's also claimed that Bully Ray has gone soft since losing to PCO at Victory Road. I mean, Bully Ray has clearly taken exception to that, but is now, I don't want to step too far and say out defending Rhino, but he certainly stopped whatever he was doing, stopped Steve Macklin from inflicting any punishment on Rhino.
I don't know if it's because of ties to ECW, who knows, but maybe it was just Bully doing what he felt was going to screw Steve Macklin.
Does the Tin Man have a hard time?
I don't know. There's a lot of questions surrounding Bully Ray right now as we get closer and closer to Bound for Glory, but obviously Monsters Ball, it will be chaotic, it will be crazy because that's Monsters Ball. Still plenty more to come here on the Impact Post Show. A lot more happening in regards to Bound for Glory happening this Saturday. What's going on with Speedball Mike Bailey as he gets closer and closer to facing Will Ospreay, and also, of course, the Knockouts World Title picture, the situation between Trinity and Mickie James.
A legendary 5-time former Knockouts World Champion, Mickie James.
As many times as I stood by your side, there's one place I've never stood, and that's across the ring from you.
The reigning Knockouts World Champion, Trinity.
This is Trinity's proof.
Mickie James, Trinity, the Knockouts World Championship. Impact Wrestling presents Bound for Glory, live, Saturday on pay-per-view.
Fans have made their way out of Graceland Live here in Memphis, Tennessee. It has been 4 fantastic weeks of action, and now we focus on heading to Chicago, your hometown, this Saturday night live for Bound for Glory. That night, it is a matchup that we have been waiting to see. We were expecting to see at Multiverse United 1 back in March in Los Angeles. Unfortunately, Will Ospreay was unable to compete due to an injury. Now, this Saturday at Bound for Glory, it's Will Ospreay versus Speedball Mike Bailey, presented by the supernatural thriller Impuritus, available now on demand. Ospreay is waiting. Bayley has been competing here in Impact. Bayley took care of business against Samurai del Sol, put out an open challenge for that matchup earlier on tonight. I do wonder how much the situation with Jonathan Gresham from a few weeks back is lingering in the mind of Bayley, but I think he silenced a lot of doubters tonight. What do you say?
I mean, he was talking about he wanted to build that momentum back up heading into this match with Will Ospreay. He did do that, winning a very impressive match against Samurai del Sol, who came in very game, answering that open challenge. And to be fair, to your point, Will Ospreay hasn't just been waiting. He's been keeping a very busy schedule himself.
Absolutely.
Again, he's one of the busiest and most impressive wrestlers on the planet himself. So both these guys have been on a tear heading for this collision, which I cannot wait to see. I'm worried about, Mike Bailey, Jonathan Gresham have been going back and forth. This different side of Gresham really showing his colors, or at least I think he's not necessarily showing his colors or changing who he is. I think he's trying to make a point. He's trying to make a point to Mike Bailey about how things are around here. I don't know if it's if you can't beat him, join him kind of situation, more of a, because as he said in that match that they had where he pulled the tights, he said if the referee doesn't catch it, then I guess that's just the way it goes kind of around here, right? Like proving the point that this is how things are here in Impact. Just kind of trying to throw that in the face of Mike Bailey.
I think that's unfortunate if Gresham was given into that. In my conversation with him a number of months ago, it seemed like he was frustrated. I just didn't think he would stoop to that level. But let's focus our attention back. Bayley versus Ospreay this Saturday at Bound for Glory. And also, don't forget, Will Ospreay will be a part of Bound for Glory Fallout this Sunday, October 22nd. You can get your tickets now via ImpactWrestling.com. And oh, by the way, Will Ospreay, once again, if you happen to be in Newcastle in the United Kingdom, Will Stomping Grounds, that's on October 27th as a part of Impact's UK Invasion Tour. Will Ospreay will be there for Turning Point, which will air on November 3rd on Impact Plus. Again, get your tickets now via ImpactWrestling.com. Let's shift our focus back to Bound for Glory. Tonight in our main event, Trinity, the Knockouts World Champion, and her challenger, Mickie James, teamed up, and they took on Giselle Shaw and Savannah Evans. It's the proverbial, can they coexist before a huge title match? And the answer was yes, they did, because these two have been friends for a long time. They've been teammates, they've been opponents, but they've never battled each other one-on-one. And you saw that scene as we went off the air. Both women fixated on the richest prize in the Knockouts division. This is going to be a fantastic match this Saturday night. What do you think is the key on Saturday night at Bound for Glory in this match?
The thing that I'm looking for, I always say things like this or around this whenever we see, like we have these classic situations. It's common in pro wrestling. You often have this ahead of a big title match. These two know each other. They like each other. They love each other. They've known each other for a long time. Like you said, we saw that little bit of tension. Mickie James holding onto that belt a little too long. Keeping Trinity in mind that, like, this is what I'm coming for. The belt she never lost. I'm curious to see how respectful this match turns out once that bell rings. It's all hugs, it's all handshakes, everything before. And I think it'll be a very fair contest, but at some point, someone's going to get spicy, Tom. Someone's going to let the emotion of the moment, I think, take over. I'm curious to see who.
Mickie James at one point was willing to put her entire career on the line to get back to the Knockouts World Championship and was doing a significant amount to hold on to the championship before relinquishing it due to injury. Meanwhile, Trinity, she's come here to Impact. She's reinvented herself and has made herself the face of the Knockouts division. Neither woman is going to go quietly. I cannot wait to see it. We cannot wait to see all of you in Chicago. I'm so excited not to be in the same hotel as this guy. It's going to be Saturday night, live in the Windy City. Bound for Glory. It's our biggest pay-per-view of the year.
A former champion whose reign was the longest in Impact Wrestling history. The walking weapon, Josh Alexander. He is the current Impact Wrestling World Champion. Alex Shelley. Impact Wrestling presents Bound for Glory, live from Chicago, this Saturday on pay-per-view.